I never thought it could happen to me. One moment, I was in my living room, scrolling on my phone like any other morning. The next, there was a knock at my door that changed everything. I opened it and saw a woman I'd seen around the neighborhood before, clipboard in hand, a look of authority etched on her face. She didn't even bother with small talk. "You have 1 hour to leave your house," she said, my own house. My home, the place where I'd spent years building my life. And just like that, I was being told that I wasn't allowed to stay. That I was somehow unfit to live here. I froze, my mind raced. Did I hear her right? An hour to pack up everything I own and leave my property. How could this happen in the 21st century in a neighborhood that felt safe, familiar, and mine? The words echoed in my head as reality hit me. This wasn't a joke. This was the HOA. My so-called homeowners association. The people who are supposed to enforce rules fairly and protect our community were trying to evict me, and they weren't giving me time to argue. It all started months earlier. At first it was small things, letters slipped under my door, notes about fences being slightly off, complaints from neighbors I barely knew. I laughed it off. I thought, okay, this is just part of living in a community with strict rules. Maybe I need to adjust a few things, maybe trim the bushes differently, maybe repaint that tiny patch of siding that no one else would even notice. I was cooperative. I tried to be a good neighbor. But slowly the tone changed. The letters became more aggressive. They started using words like violation, unfit, non-compliant. I didn't understand. I had done nothing illegal, nothing dangerous, nothing that should have raised a red flag. And yet every week there was something new. A notice about landscaping, a complaint about noise, a warning about the mailbox color. The feeling of being watched grew heavier and heavier. It wasn't just annoying, it was suffocating. Then came the big one, that knock, that 1 hour. That moment when everything I thought was mine was suddenly in question. I felt a mix of shock, fear, and disbelief. How could anyone just come into my life and set a countdown on it? 1 hour, 60 minutes. To gather all my belongings, to face neighbors staring, to make decisions about my life that should have taken months, maybe years, in a normal situation. I tried to keep my composure. I asked her on what grounds, what law allows this. She didn't flinch. "It's under HOA regulations. You are considered unfit." My mind spun, unfit, for living in my house, for being me. I wanted to scream, but I realized I needed to stay calm. Panicking wouldn't help. As she handed me the eviction notice, I saw the neighbors peeking through windows. Some were curious, some sympathetic, some, I'm not sure, maybe pleased that this was happening to someone else. The paper felt heavy in my hands. Every word on it seemed like it was rewriting my life. "Vacate immediately. Failure to comply will result in legal action." Legal action? I felt cornered, trapped, completely exposed. I ran through the possibilities. Could I call the police? Could I fight this in court? Could I somehow make them see reason before that 60-minute countdown ended? Each second that ticked by made the situation more surreal. My heart was pounding. My hands were shaking. I thought about everything inside that house: photos, furniture, personal items, memories. How do you pack a lifetime into boxes in 1 hour? The HOA woman didn't budge. She set her watch down and said, "Time starts now." And with that, she walked off, leaving me to process the impossible. It felt like being in a nightmare where the rules of reality didn't apply. How could a homeowners association have this much power? My thoughts raced. What if I refuse? What if I hide? What if someone helps me? I ran through every scenario I could imagine. I tried to reason with myself. Stay calm, document everything, maybe there's a loophole, maybe a sympathetic neighbor can intervene. But the clock was ticking. I had 60 minutes to act before my life could be upended. I grabbed my phone and started calling anyone I could think of: friends, lawyers, neighbors who might know more about HOA regulations. Some answered, some didn't. Some laughed, thinking I was exaggerating, but I was, not even a little. I grabbed my laptop and tried to search the HOA's rules online. They were vague, ambiguous, full of legal jargon that seemed designed to confuse and intimidate. There was no clause that said someone could be declared unfit overnight. No clause that said they could set a timer on your home. Yet here I was, standing in my living room, watching the minutes slip away. I started packing essential items, documents, electronics, valuables. I didn't know if I'd get everything, but I had to try. The stress was crushing. I felt like I was being punished for existing. Memories flashed through my mind. Birthday parties, late-night talks in the kitchen, quiet mornings on the porch. My home was not just walls and furniture. It was my life, my history, my sanctuary. And someone was telling me I couldn't have it anymore. Neighbors began whispering, some recording videos. The fear of public humiliation mixed with anger. How could they let this happen? Why me? Why anyone? I thought about the legal system, about the justice I believed in, and felt a surge of determination. I wasn't going to let them win without a fight. With 30 minutes left, I realized that I had to act decisively. I called a lawyer who promised to contact the HOA immediately. I gathered my most important possessions, documents, and evidence proving ownership. The HOA woman returned, clipboard ready, eyes scanning like a hawk. She asked, "Are you ready to leave?" I looked her in the eye. "No, I'm not leaving. This is my home and I have every right to be here." She frowned. "You have 1 hour." I ignored the clock. I stood firm. Neighbors were watching, some nodding in support, others shaking their heads. I could feel the tension in the air, thick enough to cut with a knife. The HOA began mumbling into her phone, probably consulting with their lawyers, trying to figure out how to enforce this eviction. Minutes felt like hours. Each second tested my resolve. I realized that fear was only one part of the battle. Courage and clarity were my weapons. I documented everything, live-streamed a brief update, and reached out to community members who had faced similar harassment. I refused to be invisible. I refused to be silenced. In the end, the HOA didn't succeed. The lawyer intervened, the notices were delayed, and I retained possession of my home. But the experience left a mark. It showed me how quickly power can be misused, how easily fear can take over, and how important it is to stand up for yourself, even when the odds seem insurmountable. I turned the ordeal into a lesson. Your home is more than a building. It's your life, your memories, your sanctuary. And no one should ever make you feel like you don't belong there without just cause. The HOA may have thought they could intimidate me, but they underestimated determination, preparation, and the support of a community. If you've ever felt powerless, remember this story. Fight for what's yours, document everything, and never let fear dictate your actions. And if you want to see exactly how I handled every second of that insane hour, stay tuned. I'll break down everything I did step by step so you can learn from it. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what happens next.